most of our minds probably drift towards the topic of mental health. However, there is an aspect about this topic that I feel is very overlooked, right? And I'd like to share that with you today. College sports, right? The highest level of student athletics, the most skilled of skilled and the toughest of tough. But as I mentioned before, there's an aspect to this heavily covered topic that seems to be skipped over, and that's the issue with the state of college athletes' mental health. Now, whether you're an athlete who can relate or someone who has no relationship with sports at all, it's important to think about this and ask yourself if these issues might pertain to you as well. I think you'll find that they do as I continue today. As I see it, if this is one of the most covered topics in our society, why is there still this looming huge problem in certain areas such as college sports? Right? Now, there is no limit to the number of mental health issues that could be discussed, but today I'd like to address the mental health in college athletics. Now, as I mentioned before, many people perceive college athletes as the toughest of tough and the most skilled of skilled. But what if I told you that when the National College Athletic Association, or the NCAA, surveyed 12,000 athletes, they found that 30% felt overwhelmed. They found that 25% felt mentally exhausted. Right? So this statistic was provided by the NCAA and found in an article written by Trine University back in 2023. Right? And although it is common for students to feel overwhelmed with their class load, studies show that signs of depression are considerably higher in college athletes. College athletes show that these higher rates of depression due to increased stressors. Now, I'd like to share some of these stressors with you today. So fear of failure, let's start with that. College athletes often have a large audience watching their every move, right? And the fear of disappointing them can be a major source of stress. The pressure to succeed can lead to feelings of inadequacy or decreased self-esteem, right? If an athlete doesn't perform as expected, the fear of failure comes in, right? All right, now next, let's go to pressure from coaches and peers, right? So college athletics is a highly competitive environment, right? And with high expectations from both coaches and teammates, this pressure can cause athletes to feel overwhelmed and inadequate if they don't hit the mark. The National College Health Assessment Survey found that nearly 75% of college athletes felt pressure to perform athletically from their coaches and teammates. And last but not least, lack of sleep. Right? Lack of sleep is a major factor that can lead to signs of depression and anxiety. Right? And intense physical exertion makes it difficult for athletes to get restorative sleep each night. Sleep deprivation has been linked to an increase in mood disturbances, depression, or anxiety. The information and stats on these stressors was provided by the sports journalism site Sport360. All right, so these stressors can hinder grades, overall athletic performance, and these stressors show us the direct correlation between the previous study mentioned. Now, as some of you may or may not know, college sports has turned into a big business in the recent years. Since the NCAA introduced the NIL rules. All right, so this aspect of the business side has led to athletes being more stressed overall. Now, NIL allows athletes and teams to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. With this new NIL system, teams are traveling more. They are playing more games to capitalize on money-making opportunities, right? And so next, I'd like to show you a testimony from my student teacher in gym this year. His name was Cody Richardson, and he played baseball at the University of Jamestown. He explained to me that, quote unquote, we have got practice and classes Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesdays, it's off to wherever we're playing for that week. And when the 4 days of games are done, we drive back and are expected to be in class by 8 a.m. after arriving back on campus at 3 a.m. that same morning. All right, another testimony from Zion Spearman, a student athlete for the men's baseball team at Newman University, says the biggest problem for him is time management. Right? Being a student athlete fatigues Spearman. He says, my energy levels go way down. Zion's testimony was found in the Newman University newsletter in an article written by Cole Betham back in May of 2024. From these testimonies, we can easily see that these extreme expectations create stress, and it can lead to a decline in mental health. And don't just take it from two people who said they were feeling stressed over time constraints. As previously stated, time management has been shown to be a challenge to collegiate athletes. In an article by the National Library of Medicine, they outlined how the NCAA rules state that college athletes may only engage in required athletic activities for 4 hours per day and 20 hours per week in season. Although these rules have been clearly outlined, the most recent NCAA goals assessment in 2016 reported alarming numbers regarding to commitment to athletic-related activities. Data from over 21,000 athletes from 600 schools across Division 1, 2, and 3 were included in this study. Although a breakdown of time commitments was not provided, collegiate athletes reported dedicating up to 34 hours, which is 14 hours over the required limit. Now, this morning, I have listed many negative and impactful things affecting the mental health of college athletes. However, today I would also like to offer some solutions to the growing problem in college athletics. All right, so first, let's talk about prioritizing self-care. Athletes should prioritize self-care activities such as getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, and engaging in stress-reducing activities such as yoga or meditation. Building a support network. Athletes should build a support network of family, friends, and teammates who can provide emotional support and encouragement for them when times are rough. Next is seeking professional help. On college campuses, there are lots of opportunities for athletes to seek mental health that they don't use because of the stigma around, like I said earlier, the fear of feeling weak or the fear of failure. Right? Athletes should seek professional help from mental health therapists or counselors on campus when needed. Last but not least, creating a balance. Athletes should create a balance between their academic, athletic, and personal lives to avoid a burnout or stress. These solutions were furthered from my research and found on the behavioral health site called Lightfully. These are just some of the many examples of how we can help student athletes. In so many athletes, so many toughest of toughs, so many skilled of skilled are often overlooked when it comes to mental health today. You've seen the statistics, and we've seen the testimonies together today, and that proves that our college athletes in America need our help. My hope for the future is that as my generation enters college, we can establish a society, tools, and support systems, as mentioned earlier, to help our student athletes keep up with the mental playbook of college sports. Thank you.